our decathletes come down and lead us in the pledge to the nation's flag and the pledge to the Texas flag. And then we're going to go through a series of recognitions. And once we finish that, we'll return to the dais, and then we'll get into the agenda. So, Carol, would you come down and lead us in the invocation? Yeah, everybody would please stand.
Okay. I invite you to join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the wonderful community we have here in Sugar Land and humbly ask that you continue to prosper our families and businesses. Thank you for our city staff as they diligently work on behalf of our residents. We pray for our city, county, state, and nation. We ask for protection of Sugar Land and its residents. We ask for protection of our first responders who are often put in harm's way as they faithfully serve our citizens. I also pray for world peace. As we meet now, please guide our thoughts and words. Give us wisdom, discernment, courage, and compassion. Help us to choose the right path when we make decisions on behalf of our city. Help us to lead in a way that glorifies you and honors our citizens. It is with humility and gratitude that we make these requests. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Carol. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Anand Asthana and Kaushik Shalicki to come down and lead us in the pledge. Pledge to the nation's flag and then the pledge to the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. And I'm going to let y'all stay down here. Our first recognition tonight is the Dulles High School Academic Decathlon Team recognition. And what I can tell you about that is initially we were going to recognize them for one event, which was a local state competition. But they've actually placed nationally, so we're going to recognize them with both the state competition and a national competition, and we've amended the certificate of recognition to reflect that. So I'm going to ask the two coaches, Kelsey Halfin and Andrew Hartman, to please come down and introduce our guests and tell us a little bit about the program.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor. First off, all y'all come up here. Let's get everybody up here. I'm Andrew Hartman, this is Kelsey Halfin. We also have our assistant coaches, Casey Johnson and Mark Rosenbaum. First off, I want to introduce you to our team right here, Kaushik Shalicki, Anand Asthana, Alex He, Jason Wu, Audrey Hannon, Srila Gupta, Ella Sheridan, and Sharam Susarla. This year's topic was technology and humanity, and they got somewhere around 900 pages of reading to do over this. Some of the topics within that included learning about sci-fi movie music. They learned about neurobiology. They learned about the history of computers. They can tell you every single computer that's ever been invented and exactly what order they were. They also had to perform speeches and give professional style interviews and write timed writes and timed essays. And so they did an incredible job this year. They were able to win the state championship in San Antonio in late February. And then after that, we went to Pittsburgh to compete in nationals where we took third place in the nation. I'm just super proud. They did everything we could ask from them as coaches. And on top of that, they're like just incredible people that we really, really enjoy having around. And so I want to thank them in front of all y'all for all the great work they gave us. So thank y'all.
We've got a certificate of community achievement presented to the Texas State champion and national award recipient of the Dulles Academic Decathlon. The Dulles High School Academic Decathlon team won their 8th consecutive large school Texas State championship on February 25th, 2024. This 8-title winning streak is a state and national record for large schools. The 2023 to 24 Dallas Dulles Academic Decathlon Team won 26 event medals, 5 of the top 15 overall individual awards, and $16,500 in scholarship money at the state competition. Additionally, the Dulles Academic Decathlon Team represented Texas at the United States Academic Decathlon National Competition in Pittsburgh on April 25th through the 27th and earned 3rd place for the 2nd year in a row. And it goes through the team members. This year's team was coached by Andrew Hartman, Kelsey Halfin, with assistance from Mark Rosenbaum, Casey Johnson, and Madison Gabino. Team is proudly supported by Principal Corey Stewart, Superintendent Dr. Mark Smith, and the Fort Bend ISD Board of Trustees. And this is given on behalf of City Council in recognition of you all's accomplishments. So, congratulations. And council members, Mike, Meredith, if I can get you guys down, if I can get you to step up this way. Who wants to hold the certificate? Here we go. Guy in the middle. There we go.
I get you to get in a little bit there. All right, count you guys down. 3, 2, 1. Do one more. 3, 3, 1. Our next recognition is the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. This was created 16 years ago by Cyril Hosley, one of our council members. And the reason was we wanted to create something that got our youth prepared for service on boards and commissions and city council. Carly, would you join me up front, please? Carly Thompson's our community engagement manager. Our 2024 class represents 35 Sugar Land area high school students from 11 different high schools, and this is both public and private. Carly, I'm going to let you go through what the class did on the exercises because you've been involved with them. And then we're going to bring the class. Matter of fact, why don't we have the class come down right now? That way you can see their faces. Because you do two rows.
So this was my first year doing the MIAC class, and I will say that these students have amazed me. They are smart, they're funny, they're kind, and I couldn't have had a better first class. But they have done, over the past 6 months, they have learned about our fire department, our police department, our water department, and they have done some projects And I'm actually going to call up our chair and our co-chair, and they're going to tell you a brief little statement of what their projects were. Ash Dio was our chair, and Chandler Young was our vice chair.
Hi everyone, I'm Ash Theo, and it's really nice to meet you guys. So I was on group 1, and our project was on the reconstruction of the structure of juvenile offenses. And we kind of prepped for the entire thing since November, and we worked on a PowerPoint about teen court, which is basically a bunch of kids our own age who will decide what the offenses are for the juveniles. And it was already implemented in the city of Houston, so we are hoping to see it in Sugar Land as well. Now, to pass it on to my vice chair, Chandler Young.
Hi everyone, my name is Chandler Young. It's nice to see you all today. I was a part of Group 2, and the goal of Group 2 was to address the pedestrian and biker safety in Sugar Land, along with the discontinuation of sidewalks. One way we addressed this problem was by creating more clear and displayable signs within Sugar Land, whether it's on the roadways to make sure that bikers look left and right, or it's visible signs standing upward so that both cars and bikers and pedestrians can see those signs. We hope with this goal to add it with one of the highly congested areas by Highway 59 and Highway 6, which I'm sure all of you guys have experienced the traffic there and know that it isn't necessarily a safe place for bikers and pedestrians to cross, especially if it's your only mode of transportation. So as Group 2, we hope to implement that in our city. Thank you.
I would really, thank you guys. As a last note, I would like to thank all the employees of the city of Sugar Land that helped facilitate some of these classes. I know y'all put a lot of work into this, and so they learned a lot, and I learned a lot too, and we all enjoyed it. And thank you guys for your time, and thank you, Mayor, for your time too.
Congratulations to all of you all. I mean, what a bright class. The questions, there were a lot of questions. So we got, I think you guys learned a lot, and I learned a lot also. So if I could get y'all to step forward, council members, you want to just stand up back there? Yeah, there we go.
Mayor, can you guys a little bit? Yeah, please. Guys, 3, 1 more. 2.
Our next recognition is National Public Works Week. And I'm going to ask Ms. Kellen Simbera, the Administrative Manager of Public Works, to come on down. And I'm going to ask her to introduce the topic for us.
Hello, everyone. So this week is National Public Works Week. I believe they asked me to speak, so Brian Butcher didn't. You're welcome. This year's theme for National Public Works Week is advancing the quality of life for all. I don't know a group of individuals that does a better job of advancing the quality of life for the citizens and the visitors of the city of Sugar Land than Public Works team. So if you're Public Works and you're here, if you'll make the way down, we'll get ready for a photo. Public Works advances the quality of life in Sugar Land, working together for a high level of service in traffic, streets and drainage, water, wastewater, right-of-way, code enforcement, food inspection, conservation, stormwater, solid waste, administration, facilities, management, and even civic arts, and sometimes fleet and animal services. And 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, which is sponsored by the American Public Works Association. If you're part of American Public Works Association, you could potentially come down here and take a picture too. The National Public Works Week celebrates tens of thousands of men and women in America who provide and maintain the infrastructure and services collectively known as public works. We urge all of staff and citizens to join us as we pay tribute to the public works employees and recognize the substantial contributions that they make to protect our health, safety, and advance the quality of life in the city of Sugar Land.
Kellen. Thank you for introducing that, Kellen. And you guys have a picnic coming up.
Tomorrow is the
It's in Alvin. Okay, I was thinking it was in Fulshire. In Alvin, okay. Let's get council members. Mike, if you guys could stand up, probably easier. Just let's get a pic. Kellen, find a spot right there in the middle. Brian, you chicken, get down here. Where's Butcher? Oh, he did get there. National EMS Week. We've got a number of our EMS firefighters. Chief Boker, can you come on down here? He's going to introduce it for us. He's got his command staff with him. Chief? Good evening. How are you?
Doing grand.
Congratulations.
All right. So we're here actually to talk about the 50th anniversary of EMS Week, but because I'm not a rule follower, I want to talk about something else. 10 years ago, this council pushed this fire department begrudgingly into the EMS business. And I'm just going to tell you, we faked it for a few years. And about 5 years ago, when I got promoted to fire chief, I kept using the word premier EMS agency. And that's a vision that it's very subjective, and it's hard to define what that looks like, what a premier EMS agency is. And so we started getting to work. And so we increased our training. We brought in a third-party trainer to hit us on things that we were uncomfortable with. We changed our medical direction. We have one of the most aggressive medical direction companies with UT Health that you can obtain. We hired specialty staff and brought in Chief Leverance to revamp our EMS program entirely. We increased our technology, brought in, with the support of this council, we were able to bring in technology such as ultrasound and our vent program. And the vents, then we went on with to have full respiratory vents with CPAP and BiPAP capabilities. We altered our existing technology to move from 4 lead to 12 lead to 15 lead so we can see what the back of the heart is doing. It's another diagnostic tool that helps to see exactly what's going on with our patient. We've increased the use of our capnography and the scrutiny that it has in a cardiac situation, expanded our skills, and just one of those is we went from 2 possible airways to now there's 7 possible airways, including paralytics, to where we can just take someone's respiratory drive to do it better for them. We sent 20 of our internal employees to paramedic school, and we have a 100% incumbent passing rate. And then we had this opportunity with the Finest and Bravest Foundation. They made a sizable donation to us this year, and we decided to use those funds to go into a new business altogether in the EMS that will really help us to surpass our current capabilities. And it's probably the biggest move that we've made in the 5 years of improvement programming that truly sets us apart as a premier EMS agency. I'm sorry, the administrative staff, you guys, come on up here. So 5 weeks ago, we sat down. We'd been trying to partner with another agency, as we have over 5 years, to get mutually beneficial improvements to our service. And we found that they weren't moving fast enough for us. So I charged Chief Leverance with making this happen, and I wanted to roll it out tonight. These programs take sometimes years to roll out. He and his team did it in 5 weeks, and it includes everybody up here, the administrative staff from other departments in the city. We had to lean on legal quite a bit, and purchasing and new contracts. And I just want to tell you, the business we're getting into that Chief Leverance is going to tell you about, there's only about 2% of EMS agencies in the nation that are doing this. And when you further dig down, you look at fire-based EMS, there's only a handful of fire-based EMS agencies that are doing this. And with that, I'm going to give Chief Leverance the privilege of announcing our new program.
Thanks, Chief. I'm going to have to correct you on a few numbers, though, just so you know. No. The American College of Surgeons talks about how bleeding is the leading cause of preventable death in our country. And a lot of that spurs some national campaigns like Stop the Bleed and Let's Control Bleeding, and let's get these things under control so we're not experiencing people bleeding to death. We take it a step further that trauma centers have stepped up their resuscitation, their care. As somebody comes through the door, that the time frame we're aiming for is the amount of time it takes for somebody to come through the door and recognize them being that sick to getting blood transfusion happening and getting blood back into this person's body. And their time frame's 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes is not a long amount of time. Chief Boker can fill 10 to 15 minutes real easily. But after we hit 15 minutes, every minute past 15 minutes is a 5% increase in mortality rate. 5% every minute on an injury that may already have a mortality rate of up to 50%. So that group of surgeons says the time frame to getting blood in these people is crucial, absolutely crucial, and we couldn't agree more. So rather than waiting for 10 to 15 minutes to start when this person walks through the door, we decided to bring that 10 to 15 minutes here to our city and deliver it to our people when they need it. So after 24 days, not 5 weeks, 24 full, busy days, pardon me, with a lot of collaboration and teamwork internally, a lot of phenomenal fluid work with other city departments, I am proud to show you 8 days ahead of schedule of this deadline, we now carry whole blood here in the city of Sugar Land to transfuse into our patients that need it. The last pitch I'll throw at you is that we have 3 trauma centers, 3 state-designated trauma centers here right around our city, in and around, and they do not use whole blood for their mass transfusion protocol. They use blood products, they deliver appropriate medicine. We are ahead of what is current medicine by introducing whole blood to our patients. And we are less than 2%. We are number 156. We are the 156th agency in the entire country to carry whole blood. Something to be pretty dang proud of. So this is just another point in our endeavor of driving our mission of bringing hospital-level medicine to the emergencies we have here in Sugar Land, wherever they may happen.
And so I'll close with two thoughts. Sugar Land got into EMS because they were dissatisfied with the product that they were getting from other people. Us going into EMS has delivered a much higher quality to our citizens, and it has yielded a much higher quality to the rest of the county because it got people's attention. And our county EMS is doing a fantastic job, but I think that's on the back of Sugar Land. And so when I go back 5.5 years and I say, we're going to build a premier EMS agency, this is as close to a definition, a destination that I can give this council of what premier looks like. And we do all that with the most talented workforce that you can get in the industry. So I'm very, very proud to work with these guys.
Thank you, Chief. I'm not sure the proclamation does justice to what you talked about. You know, it seems pretty clear to me that Sugar Land leads the way. And our citizens and our council are proud of that, and we continue to urge you to keep leading the way on cutting-edge technology. I know you've talked about it a number of times. You know, the use of technology for us has pushed the envelope, so let's keep doing that. EMS Week proclamation, May 19th through the 24th. Whereas we are commemorating the 50th anniversary of EMS Week this year, the theme for 2024 is honoring our past, forging our future. And certainly what you've talked about tonight is the forging the future part. This reminds us to acknowledge the foundational work of those who came before us while also striving to build and lead the EMS system for the years to come. EMS stands as a vital city service, enhancing the safety and security of our community. The Sugar Land Fire EMS Department comprises over 130 highly trained and qualified emergency medical professionals. These professionals staff 5 ambulances, 7 fire apparatus, and 2 supervisory units. They are tasked with responding to medical assistant calls, addressing a wide spectrum of severity from minor cuts and sprains to cases of cardiac arrest requiring CPR and life-threatening injuries. Whereas our dedicated EMS providers in the city of Sugar Land consistently hone their skills, uphold their competencies, increase their competencies is what I would say, and remain prepared to respond to our calls for assistance. This commitment is not only emphasized during EMS Week, but is upheld every day of every week in the year. Chief? Yes, sir. Council members, if we could have the council members stand. Item number 2, public comment. Citizens who desire to address the council, board, and/or commission in person with regard to items on the agenda for consideration will now be given 3 minutes to speak. I've got a list of people that have signed up. come forward as I call your name. Please remember that members of the audience should be mindful of our governing rules for conducting the business of the City Council. Clapping, chanting, or heckling is not allowed. We're going to go over the rules of engagement. First warning. If you don't speak directly on the item on the agenda, I'm going to give you a first warning to step away from the podium. If you continue to talk, the city manager is going to instruct an officer to help you go to your seat. If you resist that, you'll be taken and booked. Respectfully, as I stated earlier, our meeting rules require your comments to address one of the action items on our agenda. Make sure you comply with our rules for public comment. Please state the item you're speaking on and remain on topic. If you're unable to do so, please take a seat that I can call the next speaker. City Council, City Manager reports are not consideration or action items. The scope of these reports are limited by state law to community events or governmental meetings that are personally attended by or scheduled for attendance by the city manager or an individual council member. If a second warning is needed, and I would hope it would not be, since you've chosen not to do so, we're going to cut the microphone. Please leave the room on your own, or we will escort you out. Additionally, I would ask the city manager to revise the next city council agenda to reflect that state law is clear and that public comment is only required for items that are on the agenda for consideration. At this time, I'm going to read the names of people. Our first guest is Amina Ishak. The agenda item is 8B, community events scheduled. As we've discussed, that's not an appropriate topic. But Ms. Ishak, if you want to speak on an action agenda item, you're welcome to come forward.
So are you stating that I can't speak on scheduled community events that y'all have scheduled?
That's exactly what I've stated. It was very clear when I read the rules of engagement, it was very clear what that was. So if you want to speak, it has to be an action. Let me finish. If you want to speak, it has to be an action item and it has to be relevant to the action item.
The action, so I went to y'all's city council website and y'all have a Memorial Day event scheduled on this coming Monday, which was scheduled, and I'm assuming all of you are going to be there. It's y'all's event. Can I speak about that Memorial Day?
No, ma'am. What are you wanting to speak on? I'm speaking on our fallen soldiers. What are you smiling about? I don't understand. I don't look. Let's not play games. I'm not trying to play games, sir. I just feel like you changed the entire agenda right now. No, ma'am. We did not change the agenda. The rules have been very clear from the time long before this. Let me finish. Long before this council, this current council, the agenda items have always been the same. You apparently are trying to manipulate that agenda to talk about something you'd like to talk about. If you want to talk about something that is on the agenda, I just got through telling you that community events are something that the city manager and or the council do. It's not something that you're able to, it has to be an action item. Okay, so is that on the agenda? It does not say that we cannot speak on community events. I just read it to you in terms of what it was. So it has to be an action item. It can't be the item that you've requested to speak on. I want to speak about Aaron Bushnell. He's a fallen soldier, a fallen airman. I'm sorry. I just got through telling you that it has to be an action item. That is not an action item. That's on the community. You've got it right here. Community events. That was not an appropriate topic for you to talk about. That's for the city manager and for the city council. Please step away from the microphone, please. Second warning. Second warning. Mike.
Ma'am, you've been warned twice, and this is not allowed. If you do not step away at this time, I'm going to ask a Sugar Land police officer to remove you from the meeting.
Well, I would like y'all to pray for Eric now, because he is one of our fallen soldiers. And
Ma'am, step away from the mic, please. Our second guest is Michelle McKeska. She wants to speak on item 3A, Settlers Way improvement.
Good evening. Yes, I'm very eager to speak on this item. Let's just read it so we're all on the same page. This is 3A, excuse me. Yes, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, approving a local on-system improvement to Settlers Way Boulevard at State Highway 6, CIP CTR 230, designating the city manager or designee as authorized official to accept, reject, amend, or terminate the agreement, and making this resolution a part of the agreement. Yes, I'm very, very concerned about Settlers Way Boulevard. I am very glad to hear that these improvements are happening, because that is really what we need right now. Very important stuff on the action agenda item here.
Minute and 26 seconds left.
Oh, yes, yes. Let's see. Yes, we got to designate it. City manager's going to designate it. Yeah, Settlers Way. I wonder about the origin of Settlers Way. I know that in Harvey, it actually got flooded pretty bad because that's right near me. So, you know, it's just one of those places that
A minute.
so important. You know, infrastructure is really, really important to our city. It's important elsewhere, but I can't say where, because then I'll get my first warning. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Yeah, but infrastructure is so important. I'm really glad that Settlers Way is on the agenda item, on this action agenda item. It is just really, really important. And I think that we can all agree on that. Yep.
15 seconds.
All right. That is just wonderful. So much. Thank you for your time. Free Palestine. Call for it.
Provide a warning. If you can provide a warning to her.
First warning. Second warning. Our next guest is Inshira. She wants to speak on community events. I think we've already clarified what's allowed and what's not allowed on community events. But I'm happy to remind you if you need a reminder.
Mayor, I came in here fully intending on following the rules of engagement. I read the rules. I read them multiple times because I've always been the type of person that doesn't like to break rules. And this is not in my comfort zone. And
what agenda item are you going to speak on?
I prepared a speech. I spent sleep time, preparing the speech about an event that happened on March 23rd, a Sugarland Parks and Recreation event that was sponsored by Sugarland.
That's not an item that's on the agenda, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's a community event.
I just got through telling you that it's, step away from the microphone, please. First warning. Second warning.
Ma'am, you've received 2 warnings. If you choose to continue to disrupt the meeting,
Our next guest is Sarah Sarahi, wants to speak on item 8, community events. We've already had that discussion. What item are you going to speak on?
Why don't I speak on public hearings?
It's not, I'm sorry, ma'am, that's not an item for speaking on public hearings.
Okay, can you tell me what an item for speaking is on? That way I can...
First warning.
Okay.
Please step away from the podium, please.
So you prayed for Israel on a...
Second warning.
ma'am, you understand the rules. At this time, I'm asking a police officer to remove you from the office space. Take a recess. Go take a recess.
Our next guest is Nasheen Chias. I think we've already established that item 8 is not for speaking, so please tell me what item you want to speak on.
I just want to recognize a couple of just like National Public Week and National Emergency Medical Service and last
I'm sorry, that's not an action item, man. Step away from the podium. First warning. Second warning.
To recognize
Second warning.
Ma'am, those are recognitions, not action items. You've received 2 warnings. Please step away.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the public comments? We're going to move to item number 3, consent agenda. All consent agenda items will be taken as one motion unless a council member wants to pull one of those items. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Watley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lane. Vote at this time, please. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, council members. Item number 4, donations. 4A, consideration of an action on acceptance of monetary donations in the amount of $5,120.96 for adoption efforts and animal welfare community education efforts for the animal shelter. Ms. Cindy King, our Animal Services Manager. Cindy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm here to have you consider the donations that we have received since February 1st through April 30th. We do have 5 individuals that have donated $250 or more and are going to be recognized individually, but we also have an additional 34 donations under $250, totaling $2,020.96. Some of those are actually coming from water bill payments also, so they can add a donation to the water bill. So that has helped us as far as that goes. So we would like to thank Joan McGee, Noreen Dakar, Ajit Thakar, Ricky Rayburn, and Friends of Valhalla for their total donations of $3,100 since February 1st. Animal Services recommends the City Council accept donations in the amount of $5,120.96 to the Animal Shelter Donations Fund. Do you have any questions at this time?
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Got a motion by Kermally, second by McCutcheon. If you'll vote this time, please. And it passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Item number 5, public hearings. 5A, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on the City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2337, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, annexing certain commercial areas into Fort Bend County Municipal Utility District number 128 for limited purposes, as provided for under strategic partnership agreement, levying a municipal sales and use tax in the annexed areas, and establishing interim general business B2 zoning. We have with us Ms. Ruth Lomer, our Assistant Director of Community Planning and Redevelopment. Ruth.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. We are here tonight to talk about the annexation of some property in Riverstone. So originally a development agreement was approved by City Council with the Riverstone developer in 2003. And then the original strategic partnership agreement with MUD 128 was approved in 2011. This agreement addressed utilities, fire services, annexation, groundwater reduction, plan participation, as well as some other items. We amended the strategic partnership agreement back in November of 2021. At that time, it authorized the limited purpose annexation of some of the commercial areas in order to collect sales tax. So here on the map, you can see the areas that are being annexed for limited purposes. It is a very strange boundary, but it is based on the existing commercial areas. So this is University Boulevard here, LJ Parkway here. So city limits is right up here to the north. We did have to grab the properties adjacent to roadways, and then it's kind of based on platted boundaries, which is why some of the roadways kind of extend beyond the commercial areas. So through this agreement, we will be collecting sales tax in these areas that will be split half and half between the MUD and the city. The city will remit the sales tax to the MUD quarterly, and the district is responsible for notifying the city of any new businesses within that limited purpose annexation area. We did meet the requirements of public hearings during the SPA process, but since it has been a while since we did that, we did find it prudent to go ahead and have some additional public hearings. You had a first public hearing at your last meeting on May 7th. There were not any members of the public that spoke during that time, and council did not have any questions. Tonight we're having the second public hearing and then first reading of the ordinance, annexing the property for limited purposes, and then we anticipate a second reading taking place on June 4th. We notified property owners within the district by way of the district newspaper as well as the city's municipal paper, and we also went ahead and sent direct mail to all of the property owners within the annexation area. And we have not received any inquiries or opposition to the annexation. So with that, at this time, we recommend that you hold a public hearing and then approve on first reading Ordinance 2337 for limited purpose annexation of approximately 80 acres of commercial property in Fort Bend County MUD 128 in Riverstone. And I'm happy to answer any questions after.
Thank you, Ruth. Council members, let's go ahead and go through the public hearing, and then if you have any questions, we'll take that afterwards. This time we're going to call a public hearing to hear anybody that desiring to be heard on this particular agenda item. First call. Hearing now, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. We're going to move on to 5A,
A, first consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2337. It's an ordinance of the City Council, the City of Sugar Land, Texas, annexing certain commercial areas of Fort Bend County MUD 128 for limited purposes as provided for under a strategic partnership agreement, levying a municipal sales and use tax in the annexed areas and establishing interim general business B2 zoning. Any questions, council members? Do I have a motion? Motion. Got a motion by McCutcheon, second by Cromartie. Vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Ruth. Item number B, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on the City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2339, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, amending chapters 2 and 10 of the Land Development Code to streamline the code, clarify regulations for the Lake Point Redevelopment Zoning District, and add a new permitted land use for standard non-residential zoning districts and the LPR district. And we have Ms. Jessica Eccles, our planner too, but I think
Laura Waller is also going to do the first couple slides.
Laura?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just kick it off, get us started here with an overview. So we do have some basic amendments to the standard district regulations. That's what I'm going to talk about. It's some clarifications, some minor changes just to make things a little bit easier for our residents when they come forward. And then Jess will take over and we'll talk about the wine bar and amendments to the Lake Point Redevelopment District. Then we'll move into the public hearing, have questions and clarifications, and then go into that first reading. So to start, we are adding, we are clarifying some language for conditional use permits regarding reconsideration. Initially, the language had said that it was in order to apply for reconsideration, it needed to be 6 months after you apply for your CUP. That was incorrect. It needed to be 6 months from when your CUP is denied. So then it gets reconsidered 6 months later. So we have made that adjustment. If y'all recall, our change to the development code, the land use matrix a couple months ago removed ancillary uses in the land use matrix, but elsewhere in the code there were references to ancillary uses, so we just kind of pulled all of those references out of there since they're no longer applicable. We have changed patio covers from being considered an addition or part of the main structure of the house to now what is called an allowed yard obstruction. So that means that a patio cover can go in the required side and rear yard in the house. We've also clarified some of the way we calculate accessory structures, which is what a patio cover used to be considered. This would mean that the accessory structures that are in a required rear yard wouldn't apply to garages. That's the way that a lot of the city was already built. And so we're wanting to make that align so that the majority of our areas are no longer legal non-conforming, but they conform to the code. And then there was actually an error in the code where it was contradictory. Children's playhouses was listed as an allowed yard obstruction, but it was also included as an example in the accessory structure definition. So we just struck it from that definition to make sure that it follows the allowed yard obstruction regulations, which means it can go in your backyard or your side yard. Additionally, we clarified that stoops and porches may not project more than 5 feet into a required yard in the Lake Point Residential District. That is because there is no more than 5 feet. The minimum requirement is 5 feet in those areas. Previously, in the rest of the districts, it's well more than 5 feet, but we want to make sure that for the LPR, that is capped at 5 feet to make sure you're not crossing those property lines. We've aligned the definition of multifamily dwelling. That definition was actually changed with the Lake Point Redevelopment District adoption last December, and we're just making sure that it matches in the other chapter of the standard code. Similarly, clarifying that residential landscape regulations don't apply in the LPR. There was some confusion in the red line, but we have added some words in there to make sure that it's in the right section. And then we've also now added mu as a defined term in order to help with some of the Lake Point regulations and making sure that all of those houses and structures align and front correctly. And Jess will be talking about that a little bit more when she talks about the Lake Point regulations. And I'll let her take over.
So one of the larger changes that was included in this proposed amendment is the addition of wine bar to the Lake Point Redevelopment District land use matrix, as well as the standard non-residential districts land use matrix. This use will be permitted in the B1, which is our neighborhood business, and then the B2, which is our general business district. Those are under the non-residential districts, and then as well as permitted in the Lake Point Redevelopment District. This is part of our continuing effort to expand uses in our commercial districts. We've heard from commercial property owners that one of the barriers to redeveloping their sites is zoning. So this is just kind of in response to that. We've also seen in the citizen satisfaction survey that having access to restaurants and entertainment is important to our residents. And so this is just in response to that. Moving on to the changes that are specific to the Lake Point Redevelopment District. So that was this second red line document that you all received. It is the full Lake Point Redevelopment District code. That is what was adopted back in December. So specifically moving on to section 2-118, that is the district regulations. Under the table for bulk regulations for middle housing development, one of the changes that we made was reducing the side setback for duplexes and townhomes so that they were more in alignment with the urban home setbacks, and it just allowed for a more denser development. It didn't make sense that duplexes and townhomes had larger setbacks than urban homes when they're kind of the same form. And then we also added a clarification below that table that the front setback is only measured from the back of the pedestrian realm for lots that are fronting on a street. I'll kind of cover it a little bit more later, but that is in response to the addition of MU, where we added so that homes can front on a street, which would be where the pedestrian realm is, a civic space like a park or a trail along the water, or a MU, and I'll go over that definition a little bit later. To section 2-119, lot layout and site design regulations, under table 2-119.1, pedestrian realm requirements by roadway classification. We added just a clarification for middle housing developments that are adjacent to type 2 streets that the minimum clear zone or sidewalk width is 5 feet. Originally it was at 10 feet. After kind of going back through the code, we realized that's kind of excessive for adjacent to middle housing developments where we want the wider sidewalks to allow for that larger pedestrian flows adjacent to the mixed use districts or the commercial sites. So it still remains that the minimum width for the clear zone or sidewalk is 8 feet along those developments, but if it's adjacent to middle housing specific sites, then that can be reduced down to 5 feet. We also added clarification to this section that on-street parking may be permitted within the pedestrian enhancement zone along type 2 streets. The pedestrian enhancement zone is that kind of landscaped area that may be better enhanced with street trees or street lights and stuff. We thought that it made sense to allow parking in that space as well. Continuing on in section 2-119, if you go into the private garages and surface parking for middle housing part of this section, we added a clarification that private garages could be set back a minimum of 5 feet from an alley or private garage. Currently it states that you have to be 20 feet from any street or private alley or drive, but we felt that that was too much for an alley. So we reduced that down to 5 feet, so garages can be at least 5 feet from that alley or private drive, but any setback greater than 5 feet has to be at least 15 feet in order to accommodate a vehicle, and that people who are trying to park their cars in their driveway are not hanging off into those private drives and alleys. We also revised image 2-11E to show the label to say 18 feet instead of 20 feet. In section 2-122, building design for middle housing development, under building orientation entrances, this is what I was referring to earlier, we clarified that homes could face front on a street, a civic space, or a MU, and then we added the defined term for MU as a designated public green space that dwelling units front on that provides pedestrian connectivity to streets or civic spaces. MU shall be owned and maintained by homeowners association or other perpetual entity. Again, as we were kind of going through the code, we realized that it may not be feasible for every single home in this district to front on a street that meets the minimum right-of-way requirements. So we wanted to allow for that flexibility so that homes can front on the trail along the water or on this MU. So Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on April 25th, at which no speakers were present. Following the public hearing, the commission had questions for staff regarding the application of the standard district regulations. There was some confusion on how the landscaping regulations apply to Lake Point Redevelopment District. We clarified that the landscaping regulations, garages, and lighting standards apply to all districts, not just the standard ones. They also apply to our special zoning districts like Lake Point Redevelopment District. There was also some clarification needed on where multiplexes were permitted because one of the changes is making the definition in the standard residential code the same as the Lake Point definition, so that way Chapter 10 matches. They wanted to know if multiplexes would be permitted in our standard residential districts, and they are not. It is just so that the definitions match. Multiplexes are only permitted in the Lake Point Redevelopment District, which was adopted in December. And then there were also questions about how wine bars will operate, whether or not they can serve food, which they would be allowed to if they got the proper licenses, and if they are allowed to serve alcohol. They are not. Part of the definition, which I will go back, says that they must have a wine and malt beverage retailer's permit, which does not allow them to serve alcohol or hard liquor. Following those questions, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the development code amendment. Because this is a text amendment, all the minimum requirements were met. The public hearing notice was published in the newspaper and on the city's website. No inquiries were received, and staff is not aware of any opposition. So with that, staff and commission are recommending approval of ordinance 2339. And following the public hearing, staff is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jessica. At this time, council members, if you'll hold any questions, we're going to open the public hearing on Sugar Land ordinance number 2339. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on the ordinance, proposed ordinance? We're going to close the public hearing. We're going to move on to first consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2339, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, amending chapters 2 and 10 of the Land Development Code to streamline the code, clarify regulations for the new Lake Point Redevelopment Zoning District, and add a new permitted land use for standard non-residential zoning districts in the LPR district. Councilmember, any questions? Suzanne?
Thank you. Laura, I think this is for you. It goes back probably about 8 slides. You were talking about amendments to the language for multifamily, section 271. No, that's not where I'm going, sorry. I noted that because it was interesting, but that's not what I was asking. The 5-foot setbacks that you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where I was going.
Okay.
On the 5-foot setbacks, is that for middle housing only, or is that for all development?
So that's going to be for middle housing only, and only in the LPR district. So we just made sure that stoops and porches can only go up to 5 feet because that 5-foot setback is there.
Okay,
that was established last December, that 5-foot setback.
Okay, follow up, please.
Follow up.
So the language of this only affects them. So like if we have a townhouse or a larger home in that area, we will look at those setbacks later because some of them may be larger. Obviously, they'll need to be.
Yes, so as the building permits come through, we will make sure that all of those homes align with what the setbacks are that were established in December, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Nishat?
Laura, I know Suzanne asked about 5 foot, but I also heard 3-foot side setback.
Yes, you did.
Yes. So originally it was 6 feet for both duplexes and townhomes, but the urban home already allowed for a 3-foot setback. So you could do it on the 0 lot line and have 6 feet, or you could do 3 and 3. Essentially between 2 buildings, you would have 6 feet. So we just aligned it. So now duplexes and townhomes also have 6 feet between buildings.
So the total would be 6.
Yes, between buildings. It's just in relation to your property line.
Okay, so it's not 3 feet, 1.5, 1.5.
No, it's 6 feet, and that's just the minimum. So that's just allowing for a denser development.
Thank you.
Got a motion by Carmelli. Do I have a second? Second by Watley.
Sorry, Watley. Should have let her do that.
You're good. Vote this time, please. And it's 7-0. Thank you, council members. Item number 6, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Nashed Kermali for the next agenda item. Nashed?
You notice he said my name 3 different ways in that one statement.
Which one is it?
Hey, which one is it? Whatever the mayor calls me. Item number 6A, ordinance and resolutions. Consideration of and action on City of Sugar Land, resolution number 2429, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, finding that CenterPoint Energy Houston Electric LLC's requested increase to its electric transmission and distribution rates and charges within the city be denied. Finding that the city's reasonable rate case expenses shall be reimbursed by the company and requiring notice of this resolution to the company and GCCC legal counsel. We have our legal counsel, Meredith Reedy.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm sure you can guess based on the caption exactly what you're doing. We've done a few of these this year. This is just denying yet another attempt to raise our residents' rates and have our outside consultant and the GCCC, the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities, attorney look at it and make sure that any increase that they do get is fair and reasonable to cover their expenses, to keep the lights on, allow enough of a profit to keep the lights on, but yet not be a significant burden to our residents. I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Meredith? Got a motion by Carol.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lane. Vote, please. And the motion carries 6-0 with the mayor abstaining.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Item number 7, Municipal Utility District Bond, 7A, consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Resolution number 2424, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, authorizing the issuance of Imperial Redevelopment District Unlimited Tax Bond Series 2024 in the amount of $7,500,000. We have with us Rosita Bashoon, our finance manager.
Good evening. Today, Imperial Redevelopment District is requesting the city's consent to issue unlimited tax bonds for $7.5 million. The district was created by the 2005 state legislature. It's similar to a MUD except with more powers. The district contains approximately 746 acres within the city limits. The district has no expiration date. The redevelopment agreement was approved in 2007 with the third amendment in May 2016. Any debt issued is not and will never be the city's obligation. The district is located 30 miles southwest of Houston. Access to the district is provided via State Highway 6 and US 90A and on the north by the Voss Road. Imperial is a mixed-use community and consists of single and multifamily residential, retail, office and commercial development, Sugar Land Heritage Museum and Visitor Center, Fort Bend Children's Discovery Center, and Constellation Field, home to the AAA affiliate of the Houston Astros. The District 2023 tax rate is $1.07 with 86 cents for debt service and 21 cents for maintenance and operation. The District 2023 taxable assessed value was $477.48 million. To date, the district have issued 9 bonds, which totals $56.96 million. There are 2 road bonds, 3 tax park bonds, and 4 for water, wastewater, and drainage. A total of $49.115 million is outstanding on these issues. The planned bond issue is for $7.5 million, which will cover the construction cost of $4.7 million for water, sewer, and drainage at various facilities within the development. Other construction costs includes regional force main, city cost share for force main casing at 90A and geotechnical. Non-construction costs for $2.77 million will cover legal fees, developer interest, bond expenses, and attorney fees. The district plans to sell the bonds in June 2024. Staff has reviewed the proposed issuance. The issue complies with Resolution 11-07, City Policy for Special Districts within the city limits and ETJ. And it is consistent with the Third Amendment to the Redevelopment Agreement. This issue will extend the current debt maturity schedule by 1 year, and that will be in 2048. Staff is requesting approval of Resolution number 24-24, authorizing the issuance of $7.5 million for Imperial Redevelopment Unlimited Tax Bond Series 2024. Are there any questions?
Questions? Nishat?
Rosita, about 3 slides back, you had expenses as a bottom, legal fees, developer interest, bond expenses, and attorney fees. You said $2.7 million?
Yes.
So a third of the 7.5 will go to legal expenses?
Not only legal expenses.
Well, legal,
They're
developer
narrate-
interest.
And we also have some other bond costs. I do have our financial advisor here to give us some more details if you need
I'm just trying to find out, is that a normal percentage of the total dollar amount that goes into different fees and developer interest?
I've just summarized the fees here, but there are many other fees
Of course.
that's included in that amount.
Perfect, thank you.
Would you like some more clarification?
If you don't mind, please.
Sure. Spencer Day with Masterson Advisors. We are financial advisor for the district. It is higher than probably normal. The majority of it is that developer interest. Some of these projects have been outstanding for a number of years now, so about 1.8 million of that is for developer interest.
A follow-up question on developer interest. I believe it's limited to 2 years. Is that correct?
It is. There's some exceptions to that.
Let's hear what the exceptions are.
Council is here as well.
If TCEQ permits, then you can do an extension from 2 years to up to 4 years. And we have submitted a request to the commission for that extension.
But you haven't received it back. Have you received, has the TCEQ agreed to the developer interest over 2 years?
Customarily, we would expect them to, and we're awaiting the staff memo for that. In the event that they reduce the developer interest, then we would not be issuing bonds for that amount, and it would go to other costs, or there would be a reduction in the par amount.
Different question. What is so 2.7 million, what's the interest portion of the 2.7 million? Is that?
1.8 million.
Okay, 1.8. And of the 1.8, what is over and above 2 years worth of interest?
Don't have the exact breakdown.
I think we would go in. I think it would probably be proportionate. I think you'd probably be looking at about half of that amount, just speaking at a high level.
I've dealt with bond issues in development for a long time. This seems unusual to me. I've never heard of approving a bond issue, with an interest reimbursement over 2 years without having the TCEQ weigh in on it.
It's really just a factor of the TCEQ's schedule right now. They are late on their approval of this at this point. So we had submitted this to council to comply with our original bond schedule. And at this point, we don't expect there to be a reduction in the interest. We know it's outstanding. This was in line with our practice and in line with the rules and regulations of the TCEQ. It's just been a factor of the staff memo not arriving quite yet.
I'm not really comfortable with that. I mean, I'm not trying to be hard to get along with, guys, but I've never, and I've been doing this for a long time, or had done it for a long time, and I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything brought before a body to approve prior to receiving approval for it. Let me see if the other council members have any questions. Suzanne, you have a question?
It was along the same lines that you're coming from, but the bigger question is, are we exhausting the developer reimbursements for infrastructure? Or are there some more to come? Because if we have more to come, that makes the whole ballgame different.
There are more to come. We issue these bonds when the value is there to support them. So we, size these up based on the capacity that they have to, maintain the tax rate and maintain healthy debt ratios. So when we do go out to sell, that it's in line with what the market would expect to see from this type of an issuer. But yeah, there are still reimbursements owed to this developer, these developers in this district.
Stuart?
Did I hear you say that if the approval by TCEQ does not come through, then you will be foreclosed from selling bonds for that portion of the interest, and you just sell fewer dollars worth, yes?
That is right. We'd be making an adjustment for the actual bonds issued.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Jacobson. Any other questions? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Ferguson. So, Stuart, explain your motion, please.
I have motion to approve the 7A.
Subject to approval by the TCEQ for the additional reimbursement beyond 2 years of developer reimbursement?
No, as is, they would be foreclosed from selling the additional if it didn't come through. So it would automatically adjust itself. So I just, my motion is to approve 7A as is.
Okay, got a motion, I've got a second. Any other questions? Vote this time, please. I'm going to step back. What was the staff recommendation?
Approve.
I'm going to go along with it this time. Don't bring it back again like this. I don't think that's. I'm fine with the motion being amended, subject to the approval by the TCEQ. But I think we got the cart before the horse. So. Okay, and it passes 6-1. Item number B, 7B, consideration of an action on authorizing issuance of Fort Bend Mud District 192 Unlimited Tax Bond Series 2024 in the amount of $1,465,000 and Unlimited Tax Park Bonds Series 2024A in the amount of $2,170,000. Rashida?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this evening, MUD 192 is requesting the city consent to issue unlimited tax bonds, Series 2024, and unlimited tax parks bonds, Series 2024A. Fort Bend MUD.
Rashida, would you get closer to the mic, please? There you go.
Thank
or
you.
move the mic over to you.
Okay, thank you. So Fort Bend County MUD 192 was created on June 19, 2009, and a development agreement was approved by the city on December 21st, 2010. The area being developed is being developed as Greatwood Lakes on approximately 100 acres. As of April 11, 2024, the district consisted of 258 homes with 257 occupied. The average home value based on the district's 2023 certified taxable assessed valuation was $426,000. This is a map to give you a visual of how the district is laid out. It is located south of Greatwood development of FM 2759. Here you can see the total bonds authorized by the district voters for various purposes. Including the two bond issues, a total of $14.3 million is issued with an unissued amount of $40.34 million. Excluding the two bond issues, the total outstanding bond is $9.99 million out of the $10.675 million. The proposed Series 2024 bonds is for $1.46 million with principal final maturity in 2047. This will be the fourth issuance out of the voter-approved authorization of $28.6 million. The current issue will extend the current maturity schedule by 1 year. The estimated average annual debt service is $863,690, and the maximum annual debt service is $1,040,256. $850,174 will cover construction costs for Greatwood Lake Section 2B and 3 with water, sewer, and drainage, clearing, grubbing, and demolition at Greatwood Lake, along with engineering costs. Non-construction costs total $614,826 and will cover expenses such as developer interest and bond issuance expenses. The proposed bond issue for the Series 2024A is $2.17 million with final maturity in 2047. This will be the district's first issuance out of the voter authorization of $5.9 million for park and recreational facilities. This issue will also extend the current maturity schedule by 1 year. Construction costs will for $1.4 million will cover amenity improvements at Greatwood Lake Phase 1 and Greatwood Lake Recreation Center, as well as architectural fees. Non-construction costs total $686,220 and includes developer interest and bond issuance expenses. The 2023 certified taxable assessed value for the district is $109.45 million. The 2023 tax rate is $1.43 with 90 cents for debt service and 53 cents for maintenance and operations. The district receives water and wastewater services from the city as a wholesale customer. Upon annexation from MUD 106, the city bills the district for total consumption, and then the district meters and bills individual customers. The MUD board approved the bond sale documents and issuance of said bonds at their board meeting on May 1st. Staff recommends that City Council grant approval to the district for the proposed issues. Are there any questions?
Questions? Sure.
Rosita, I just have a general question. How is the interest rate on developer reimbursements calculated?
I'll have to refer to.
Or, I mean, not calculated, but where is it published? How is it determined?
Oh, it's in the POS, and it's also along in the memo. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, the interest rates have varied a great deal since probably this was started. At what interest rate do we reimburse developers?
Developer interest.
So ahead of a sale, we'll make an estimate, and that's what goes off to the TCEQ. But the actual interest rate that they are reimbursed at is the same interest rate that the bonds would sell at.
So lower of the cost of capital or what the bonds are sold. Is that
Right.
not correct?
It's same rate, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Do these two issues contain more than 2 years worth of developer interest?
And let me just say, our firm does represent this district. I am not the banker for this district. The banker had a death in the family, so because I was going to be here, I'm covering. I can look that up really quick. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah, you typically don't see an issue for 1.465. It's pretty low. The soft costs are disproportionately high.
Yeah, the developer interest is $294,000 of that amount. Again, I don't know if that represents more than 2 years, but I can get that answer. It would again be within the the TCEQ approval.
Staff, what's the staff recommendation?
To approve the issues, please.
Any other questions? Carol? Got a motion by McCutcheon, second by Kermally. It passes 7-0. Thank you, Rosita. Item number 8, City Council City Manager reports. Item A, City Council member reports. Nishad, let's start with you.
Mayor, this past Saturday here at Sugar Land Town Center, most of us attended Bazaar, put on by the good folks at Reedy's, and I just want to thank them for doing a fabulous job of bringing different types of restaurants, wineries, and eateries. Great crowd that was here. Lots of resident feedback I got. Lots of resident feedback that they really enjoyed it. Some folks missed it, but I'm glad that Reedy's and the Limestone team is going to do this annually. So kudos to Matt and Teresa. Also, several of us attended again, here in Sugar Land Town Center. It's great to hear this and see this. The expansion of BB Italia. They have been open only 18 months, and now they've added another approximately 2,500, 3,000 square foot for a facility to do banquets and different weddings and other things. And it's a beautiful facility. Jennifer, myself, Stuart, Carol, and Suzanne were all there. Congratulations to Jason and the entire team at Benjamin Berg Hospitality. That's it, Mayor.
Jennifer.
Mine were already mentioned, but I've been celebrating a lot of my children's co-students and their graduations this week.
William.
Mayor, I have a whole long list, but I'm going to leave some for you guys. I do want to highlight the 9th. The Houston Public Media is now in Sugar Land at the museum, and I'm excited to have them in town. On the 11th, I want to thank the Ishmaeli Center for hosting TEDx here in Sugar Land again. It's an extremely educational event, and I'm thankful for that. And then I want to thank, especially now, the board of LID 7. They came out on the 16th and talked to our community on probably one of the worst weather events we've seen recently. And 3 of their members was there to explain the project that LID 7 has started on behalf of New Territory, Telfair, Greatwood, Sugar Land, and it's phenomenal. The project is solid and it's holding up well to the high water, so I commend the LID 7 board for their great work.
Thank you, William. Carol.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Citizens Police Academy graduation, class of 71, and I was actually a graduate of the class of 35, so that's, that's a little ways before that, but it's a really incredible program. And I attended the Veterinary Emergency Group grand opening, and that's at University and Highway 59, and it's an open concept plan, so if your pet is having surgery, you can actually stay in the area, and they've got a place you can make into a bed and actually spend the night there if your pet's there. So that's a really a great thing. And also attended the Fort Bend Children's Discovery Center fundraising brunch.
Wonderful. Stuart, you thought I left you out, didn't you?
I was hoping. I, along with several of my fellow council members, attended a dedication of a bench in the Hodges Bend Cemetery. Alexander Hodge is a veteran, was a veteran of the Revolutionary War, and there's only 45 veterans buried in Texas, and we have one of them, and that was, the program was done by the Daughters of the American Revolution.
He was one of the original Stephen F. Austin 300. Yeah. Suzanne.
Okay, saving the last for the best. No, saving the best for last. I'm tired. But I think you guys covered most of everything we all did together. The only thing that we didn't talk about was Abigail's Place, and Carol attended that with me. And I had the honor and privilege of being Mrs. Cool, because I got to stand in for Mr. Cool, my husband, Brad, who's the president of Abigail's Place. We cut the ribbons on 2 duplexes named and in the honor of Missy Lyons. The Abigail's Place duplexes, there are 2 of them, serve to house homeless women and their children while they're in transition, and they give support and encouragement and resources for those women in need. So I'm very proud to have stood in for you, my dear, and congratulations, Abigail's Place.
I'm going to go ahead and yield my time. Mike, City Manager report.
Yeah, Mayor, just real quick, want to encourage the public, come out to our farmers market. It is great. You can catch the new mural from 9 to 1 on Saturdays. And then Monday, offices will be closed for Memorial Day. We have a Memorial Day event planned for 10:30 a.m. at Memorial Park. And I want to thank all of our employees that are working so that we can enjoy that day with our families. And then last, I want to thank, we have a number of employees, Houston, North Houston got hit real hard. We've got a number of employees that are there right now that have been there assisting our neighbors up there. And so I see Caroline in the audience. I think Paige from Emergency Management's there along with a number of other people. So glad to help our neighbors to the north. That's it.
Mike. Item number 9, closed executive session. Closed executive session is authorized by 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with 551-074 personnel matters. We're going to go ahead and recess into the council dining room.